closest to you. So I'm a strong advocate of local government, local control, and I would absolutely oppose any of those issues that would tend to create another level of government that is further and further out of reach of us, we, the people.
Another issue which is people have raised is the issue of federal grants, especially those when they come with either unfunded mandates attached to them or where they mandate certain actions. And I would just ask the candidates their position in general on that issue, and start with Linda.
I have personal experience with grants because I wrote the community development block grant by which Leroy got $90,000. We had never had any federal grant money, and we had no place in our community for any of our community groups to meet. The seniors were meeting at the fire station. Well, everybody was meeting at the fire station because that's all we had. When we received that grant, part of the strings that were attached to that were what kind of contractor you had to hire to do the grant. And it had to be minority or a women-owned contractor. And I went to the grant coordinator. I said, well, why do we have to have a contractor at all? Can't we just do it with volunteer labor? And she said, what? That no one's ever done that. And I said, well, ask him if we can do it. Because then the whole $90,000 was able to be used to build the room. And you know what? My community did it. We did it. We did it with volunteer labor. We put up a 40 by 60 room with 2 bathrooms and storage space for $90,000. And that's where everybody meets now. The thing you have, how many of you guys have a wallet with you today? Yeah, that's where that money comes from. Yeah. You know, let's get some of it back. Of course you have to be careful about what the strings are and what the requirements are, and you're never going to take a grant that's going to make you do something that doesn't fit with the values of your community. But by gum, it's our money. We should get some of it back if we can to do the things that we need to do. Thanks.
Okay. John?
Thanks. Sadly, the way these grants are going nowadays, there are a number of strings attached, which amount to unfunded mandates that in many cases exceed the value of the grant. In-kind funding, as Linda talked about, regrettably, politicians a little higher than us have figured it out, so now they're starting to cut those things off. We ran into this out in Madison. There were a lot of things that we wanted to do ourselves, in-house. We had a number of nurseries, in fact, that were wanting to offer to do some improvements out at our interchange. We were told, no, you can't do that. You actually have to spend the taxpayers' money to get these grant dollars associated with trying to work with you. And the more we try to look into this, well, can we do a donation or something like that? Oh, no, 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 it has to be taxpayer dollars. So in-kind funding is being taken away from us. So these creative solutions, they're being stripped away. So what should we do about it? I think we need to start holding our higher level officials to task on this. Put it plainly, we want to be able to be creative and be functional. But what they're trying to do is what amounts to social engineering. They're trying to take away our ability and our freedom to volunteer and do things for our own community. And they're taking us in a direction that they're choosing. Our destiny is being driven by a handful of people. It starts at the state level, it goes to the federal level, but we at the local level need to start screaming. And that's the bottom line. Make your position known. Get the word out there. Do it in a concise and cohesive way. Get it out there. Again, what would a reasonable person do? In-kind funding, participation. That's what our country was built on. I'll go back to the old barn raising thing, if you will, when a neighborhood would get together and you'd help somebody out. It doesn't happen anymore because the people up a little bit higher have found a way to break our legs yet again. So we have to be creative. Stand up. Make your position known. Make a difference.
Dave?
It is nice going after instead of going first, because you do get some of these great points that come up. So I want to echo those are great answers, and I believe the same. I think all of us, I would venture to say, would be of the same mind on that. The 10th Amendment and states' rights, these are things that we hold dear. We don't want to be in a government situation where we have strings attached, somebody on high dictating to us what and how to run our local governments. There are times when getting some federal money does make sense. For example, roads and infrastructure. These are things that, you know, we do need to cooperate with that for commerce. I mean, that's one of the things government should do. Get in, set up a structure, and get out of the way of business and the economy and commerce to operate. So with federal deficits skyrocketing, the last thing we want to do is raise that up, and at the local level, we can have some impact on that. I know in our city of Willoughby Hills, we've turned down federal money because we said, well, the cost is too much to take your $1 million. So that's basically it, that states' rights, we do need to be aware of, we are all part of the solution here, and deficits, that is a national security issue. We need to turn this thing around. So being engaged, being active here, right here at Menor Beach Park, right here in Menor, Ohio, we are all engaged in our government. And this is a great thing. This is a great start.
We're all going to, I'm not going to get up here and repeat everything that's going on. We have to be very, very careful. You have to look at the grants. You have to see what strings are attached, and you got to make sure they're going to work for your community. If in a perfect world, we would not take any grants, because then we can do everything the way our local community would want it to do. I think sometimes the failure is, maybe on the county level, they see that they can get a grant, if they match $1 million, well, did that project really have to happen? Probably not. So they could have saved money by staying away from it. We just have to be very careful of what we're signing on to.
Obviously, these are tough economic times. What do you think the county government can do to help with the economy, and what's your general philosophy of the government and the economy? John? Yeah.
Thanks, sir. Lake County can get out of the way. Bottom line is, we've all elected local officials to do the things that we want them to do. The county, in many ways, they're obstructionist. They're in the way. How many times have local communities tried to do something only to hear the county say, you can't do that? Why? Because. I don't accept that answer from my children. I'm not going to take it from the commissioners. The bottom line is, everything from the utilities to the way the sheriff's department is being held out there as a whipping stone. Take a look at this. We've got, how many times have we had examples of county commissioners saying this is the way it's going to be? Most recently, they're saying the stormwater management program, that they will disavow any knowledge or association with the monies in that enterprise fund. It doesn't count towards our budget, but they won't hesitate for their own political convenience to cut it in half in order to say, oh, look what we did. This is a good thing. The bottom line is, if the county would just get out of the way and let the local municipalities do their jobs, because who knows what a local community needs better than the local officials that we've elected to represent us. So I can't overemphasize, the county needs to get out of the way. Thank you.
Dave?
And that's a good answer, and he's right. The job creators in this county are private enterprises. They are business owners, like myself, and I have begun meeting with them. In our state rep campaign a couple of years ago, I set up roundtables, and we'd have 15, 20 manufacturers, and Pete would have 200 employees. He'd like to hire 10 more. Chuck would have 500 employees. He'd like to get a few more. What can we do to help that happen? What are some of the roadblocks that are in the way in government, not only at the county level, but at the state level or at the federal level? We'd have these great discussions and sometimes arguments about these things, but this is dialogue. This is what it takes. It takes being involved, and I've already started this process, and I think the feedback that I'm getting from the real job creators in Lake County has been very beneficial as insight, as someone who would love to get into the role to be able to facilitate turning around the economy in Lake County. We do have one of the lowest unemployment rates, though, in all of the state. So we are in a terrific position, but we can do better. We have so many great manufacturing firms here, great companies that are making products, that are employing people, that are turning things around. That's why we're one of the lowest unemployment rates in the state, and I think we're going to lead the charge here in this 2012, 2013, and beyond. We're going to lead the charge with the right people in place. Thank you.
Dick?
Right now, our county has the infrastructures. It's here. All we have to do is promote. We have to help with the planning commission. The commissioners can tell, the building department, so lighten up on these people. Any agencies that they have, any power of, make it easier for people to start